Hello again and welcome to this week's edition of your Wheel and Anchor weekly newsletter. This week I'm in a different part of southern Italy, specifically Sorrento, the gateway to the Amalfi Coast. In fact, I took a day to check out the Amalfi Coast. Behind me here is the village of Amalfi. Actually, it's more like a small city, the most famous town along the world-renowned Amalfi Coast. It's mid-June here, and already this place is a madhouse. It's as full of people as I could ever imagine. And I think that if you have never been to the Amalfi Coast before, it really ought to be on your bucket list. The scenery is as jaw-dropping as its reputation. And certainly I've enjoyed every minute of the very short time I've spent here. And I do recommend coming, but I'm also looking forward to being here in April, which is a little bit, it's the beginning of the season, much quieter than it is now, and also spending more time in the region in Sorrento on our LiveAway there will allow us time to really get to know these towns. The vast majority of tourists that are visiting this city are in and out in a day, and hardly get a chance to really wander through all the meandering streets of these 13 towns along the Amalfi Coast and take in what this place is really all about. In fact, I ran into quite a number of tour groups during the few days that I've spent down here, and whether they were from cruise ships or in fact, one very well-known American tour company that you will have undoubtedly heard of. The thing that they had in common, as I was saying, is that, you know, they all tend to be on very hectic tours with barely the time to sort of take in all that this area has to offer. One of them, in fact, they had started at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was seeing them on a gelato making experience at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and they still had another hour or two to go in their itinerary for the day. So it really made me feel like we have the right approach with our LiveAways and our other program formats at Wheel and Anchor, because I firmly believe, and I know that our members share the feeling, share that sentiment that taking the time, spending more time so you can really enjoy every moment in these wonderful cities like Sorrento, like the Amalfi Coast. That's what we're all about. But anyway, I'll save that for another note. Just as an aside to that, we will be having our launch webinar for our Amalfi Coast LiveAway program that's happening in April of next year. That's coming up this coming Thursday, the 17th of June. So if you haven't already, do tune in for that. And of course, the second part of our Sicily program, where I was just a few days back, Cefalù, will be released in early July. All the dates, of course, in the webinar. In the blog. More importantly, though, what you'll also find in this week's newsletter is the introduction, the first of a series of short surveys and questionnaires that we do every year. For those of you who've been around with us for the last few years, you will recall our Trip Inspiration Survey. This is our annual exercise to collect some data. I put it in very technical terms, but to find out what our members are thinking in terms of what their travel aspirations are. This is an incredibly important part of our community because, as most of you will know, we are really determined to create the type of trips and go to the kind of places that our members are interested in going to. I don't like creating itineraries for the sake of doing it. It's obviously a lot of work, particularly the way we do them. And so we come out to you, our members, to find out where do you want to go, how do you want to go, when do you want to go. And so the first of these surveys, we're doing it a bit differently, and we're doing a little bit earlier this year because we're already starting our planning for 2024, given all the demands, all the things I've talked about in previous newsletters. It's important for us to get going, and so we're going to try and keep the time that you need to do this very, very short, a minute or two, maybe 3 for each survey. So we're going to do probably 4 or 5 surveys over the next few weeks. Each one will typically be around 4 or 5 questions, so you can log on, quickly answer and again, the feedback will be important to us. The first one is going to be a bit of a general question, some general questions about how you find traveling, or how your own travel desires or plans are going to be different post-pandemic. We're going to ask about sort of the time of year that you normally like to travel, and some very simple questions. So please take a few minutes of your time, 2 minutes at the most, to complete that questionnaire. We will be giving out a $1,000 travel voucher this year for the lucky winner of that. So that's quite a substantial prize. But apart from all that, it's just meaningful to me and to all of your fellow members as we look to creating our programs for next year and beyond. So thanks for all that, and I'm now on my way to Ireland to host our next Wheel and Anchor trip on the Emerald Isle. Very excited to be meeting some new members in a couple of days' time. If you're one of those, I'll look forward to seeing you in Dublin this Sunday, and otherwise I'll be catching up with you in next week's newsletter from the wonderful island of Ireland. In the meantime, take care, happy summer, happy travels.